The other day, we were all laughing at the office because someone on our team confessed that she impulse purchased a narwhal neck pillow in the checkout just because it was on sale. So, listen, it was so funny because we all started coming up with ideas of like things that we bought just because they were on sale, and it was epic. So I decided then to ask some of you guys your craziest sale purchases, and you delivered. So before we jump in, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. Okay, this is a real thing, you guys. When you see something on sale, it is so natural to be like, oh my gosh, it's a good deal, so I might as well just take it, right? Even though I probably don't need it and it's unnecessary, I still want it. So here are some of the things that you guys mentioned that you bought on sale that you really didn't need. This first person said, a full stash of beach equipment that we only use twice a year. Oh my gosh, we've done that so many times. And we've ended up, we left like a whole thing of sand toys. I remember we bought a whole thing of sand toys and left it at the rental house that we were in, and we went back home and I was like, dadgummit. But I was like, oh, so I get it. Totally get it. All right. Number 2 was a year-long membership to chess.com that this person used for a week and gave up. Yeah. I did that on a workout app once. I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally going to work out with this app. And I did the yearly subscription because it was cheaper and I thought I was saving money. So I was like, look at this. It's a great deal. It's a great deal. $99, and used it maybe twice. So that hurts. All right. Number 3, someone said that they bought a $75 hair tool, but they literally just wear their hair in a bun every day. I know, but you have like such great motivation though. You're like, look at this. This thing's going to help me do something different. And you never do. I get it. Number 4 was a Ralph Lauren leather jacket marked down from $450 to $99, but only wore it once. Yeah, I get that. Number 5, a breakfast sandwich maker that you can 100% use appliances you already have to make these breakfast sandwiches. But this person said, I felt like I needed this exact one. And we did that. What did I have? I got something like a quesadilla maker or something. I did this exact same thing. And I was like, we make quesadillas all the time. This will be so easy. And then literally never use it because the frying pan's already out. And I'm like, why? Why would I dirty up something that is like way more complicated? Okay, so more of this list later because believe me, you don't want to miss the pack of boxer briefs that is coming up next. But first, I do want to tell you about one of our amazing sponsors, Delete Me. So if you don't remove your personal data from the internet, it's basically like it's a billboard for everyone to see. And it's your name, your address, your email, even your kids' names that are out there on sketchy data broker websites. And then those data brokers collect your data, sell it, and then it puts you at risk for scams and fraud. But the good news is that Delete Me removes your data to help protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Winston and I use Delete Me, and it saves us so much time and worry. So you guys, your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So sign up for Delete Me and take control. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, bringing your monthly cost to under $9. Or you can click the link in the description. All right, number 6, sky-high bright coral heels. The customer beside me was like, oh my gosh, these would look so great in your closet. Man, I had some crazy heels. That was the thing, though. I feel like that was like kind of in style. It was like really loud shoes. Like it's like this like color. So I get it. I have turquoise in my closet currently. Okay, number 7 made me laugh. A Hello Kitty knockoff Roomba vacuum at TJ Maxx. God love TJ Maxx. You like never know what's going to happen. In fact, that it's a Hello Kitty knockoff Roomba vacuum, even better. Number 8 was a puppy because it was only $450. Oh my gosh, I don't think I could ever impulse a puppy because it was on sale. Too much responsibility. It's a lot. Number 9, the massage recliners that you see at the mall. I think we all wanted one of those. Number 10, the exercise bike that we bought on sale is now a towel hanger. Oh, doesn't that hurt? And that's an expensive thing too. That's expensive. And then it ends up just sitting there. Number 11, kids' clothes in a bigger size for next season. Oh, I have done this so many times because you go to Target and you're like, look how cute. And it's like it's like on a $5 rack or something. Like, well, they can wear this next year. And then you have no clue where it goes and you never end up using it. Oh. All right, number 12. A jumbo pack of boxers, 45, so I only have to do laundry once a month at college. You know what? I always say it's pretty smart. If it's cheap, sure, why not? Oh, man, you guys. Okay. So obviously we know just because something's on sale doesn't mean you actually need it, even though we all impulse buy. Like we do it all the time, you guys. And our money, our hard-earned money just leaves. And in the moment, we think it's such a great idea, and then it's not. So that's why I always like to say, just sleep on it. And the Hello Kitty Roomba vacuum will probably still be there at TJ Maxx the next day if you really still want it. But so much of our emotions drive this. And so remember, if you are needing something and it was on sale, that's awesome. How great. But if it just occurred to you that you might need this random item, just say no. Trust me. And now, if you have a budget, that is really going to help you. And if you don't have a budget, make sure to check out EveryDollar because it's our budgeting app and it does help you basically give you permission to spend. We're like, okay, I have money here. And if something is on sale and you're like, okay, maybe. And if you have the money and you're kind of thinking about it, maybe you sleep on it. You come back to it, the money's there. But the budget really is the best guide to that. So I'll put a link down below for you to check out EveryDollar. But unfortunately, aspirational spending doesn't just stop at the sale aisle. So make sure to check out Why I'll Be Happy When is a Lie. So you can watch that here, or if you're listening on podcast, I'll put a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, hey, you guys, have you ever been tempted just not to take investing so seriously? Okay, listen, go with me for a second. Most of us can recognize that saving for retirement is very important, but if you're anything like me and investing 15% month after month, year after year, decade after decade can start to feel a little redundant. And I was just talking about this on Smart Money Happy Hour the other day because I was like, well, what if I just took a year off? Would it be that big of a deal? Come on. We're doing fine. We're doing fine. Okay, because here's the thing, is that you won't fully experience, though, the benefits of investing till later in life. And so sometimes it feels like you're just throwing your money into a black hole and you're never going to see it again. But deep down, of course, we know we got to stay on track, okay? The consistency is what is really key when it comes to investing. And investing in retirement is the ultimate example of delayed gratification. But it is hard to commit to anything if you don't know the why behind it. So today we're going to talk about 3 reasons why you should stay on the investment roller coaster ride. Because investing is like this. It is up and down, but you stay on that ride. So there was a guy that called into the Ramsey Show and he was asking if he could cash out his Roth IRA to pay off his loans. And his argument is that he wouldn't be taxed or penalized. And because of that, it felt like a reasonable thing to do, to get yourself out of debt. And honestly, I get the urge to want to pay off debt as quickly as possible because you don't want to live in this chaos and stress anymore. You really want to handle it immediately. But it's so important to understand that the money that you set aside for retirement will only reach its maximum potential for growth if you leave it untouched. And listen, I love to lean into the gray areas of life, but this one is kind of a black and white issue. You should never dip into retirement savings early, and there's really 3 main reasons for this. Before I explain that, I want to tell you about a faith-based alternative to health insurance that can make healthcare more affordable, and that's Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM allows members to share each other's healthcare costs, and it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, choose the healthcare provider that you want. Step 2, submit your eligible bills. And Step 3, get reimbursed. CHM members take care of your eligible medical bills. And with no networks and the freedom to choose your healthcare provider, CHM is the best option for Christians who want to take care of their families and help other believers. So find out more at chministries.org/budget. All right, the first reason that you should never get off the investing roller coaster is because no one can predict the trajectory of the market. So don't let your amateur investor bros on the internet convince you to play the game. You can hack the system and time the market. You're not supposed to constantly be checking every little movement of the market and pivot because of it. Most of investing, you guys, majority of it is for a long period of time. So don't go and watch the news and just see, oh my gosh, well, today it's this, tomorrow it's that. Oh my gosh, what are this, that? No, investing is for the long term. Slow and steady wins the race. Think about a crock pot versus a microwave. And the earlier you start this and the more consistent you are, the better off you're going to be. So don't let tiny trends or, growth or loss day to day throw you off, okay? Just trust the process and recognize that your investments need time to develop and grow. So whether you've had a 401k for years or you're a total beginner, one of the best tricks that I think is important when it comes to investing is working with a professional. So I will leave a link for you to connect with a pro so that you can really have peace of mind when it comes to all these details. So write it out. Now, I will say if you sit down with your financial advisor and they're like, hey, this one fund over the last 5 years, it's not really doing great, but these over here, and maybe you change your strategy within it, which is fine, and that's great to do. But don't let just that day-to-day, of what the market's doing, throw you off, and don't jump off the roller coaster. Stay on. All right, the second reason to stay on the investment roller coaster is to avoid unnecessary taxes and penalties. So first of all, investments aren't there to replace your everyday savings. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. But second, taking your money from your investments, specifically whether it's a Roth or a 401k, specifically for retirement, will result in taxes and fees and penalties. So for example, if you draw money from your 401k too early, there's a 10% penalty plus the taxes on whatever that you've taken out. And the IRS usually withholds 20% automatically. Now with a traditional IRA, if you withdraw that money before you're 59 and a half, you get another 10% penalty plus federal and state income tax on the amount that you've taken out. And just know, you guys, taking money out of things like a Roth IRA or a 401k, you are unplugging compound interest, which is not good. Okay, we do not want that. Now, if you need money, this is why you need an emergency fund. This is where you have cash available to you sitting in a high yield savings account, okay? You want 3 to 6 months of expenses. So when something comes up, you don't have to go and dip into your investments or your retirement, which again is going to take you off the train. You have cash to be able to do that. And again, you want to be able to stay on that investment train as long as possible. So that is why having money in an emergency fund is so key. All right, the third reason to stay on the investment roller coaster is compound interest. So we talked about this a little bit earlier, but you guys, this is the most powerful way mathematically to build wealth. Compound interest just means that your earnings compound over time. So let's run some numbers with the Ramsey investment calculator, shall we? Let's say you start investing $200 a month when you graduate college at 22 and you retire at 65. With an annual return of 10%, you would have over $1.7 million in investments, even though you only contributed about $100,000 of your own money in those 43 years. That's $1.6 million of free money, you guys. I mean, it's crazy. So what happens is you put your money in, so your $200, you make 10% on that. Well, the next year, you put $200 more in, and you're not making interest on just what you put in. You're going to make it on the interest that you got the year before as well. So what happens, again, that compounding is what is so key. Or maybe you started a little bit later, and so now you're contributing a higher amount every month. So let's say that you invested $800 a month, starting from age 30 and all the way to 65. You're going to have over $3 million in those accounts. And that means you only put in $336,000. I mean, it's crazy, you guys. The momentum is insane. And you basically, if you get off that investment roller coaster, you interrupt that flow and that growth by cashing out money early. So don't stay in. Play the long game. And just picture of like, oh my gosh, you're going to be so bougie at retirement and it's going to be great because you're going to have money to live that bougie lifestyle, which is wonderful. And investing really is a proof that slow and steady wins the race. And the earlier you can start, the better off you're going to be. I am a fan of investing. Do it, you guys. It is like one of the best things that you can do with your money. Let your interests work for you. So make sure to check out my episode all about investing for total beginners. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. I saw an article online that had a list of 10 habits that scream, I'm trying to look wealthy. So I'm going to go through those today and give you my opinion. And also later, I'll share 3 proven steps that will actually help you become really wealthy, like in the real sense of the word, which is key. All right, drop your reactions in the comments as we go, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. All right, number 1, the article says excessive displays of wealth. So luxury cars, flashy logos, high-tech gadgets. And it is kind of this idea that like insecurity is loud and confidence is quiet. And so when you see people that are so big and so out there with their money, usually it is a sign of like, okay, what are they trying to prove maybe as a person? And or are they just trying to prove that they are successful? And because of that, they may or may not even have the money, but they're trying to look successful. So I would agree with this one. Not obviously, not everyone that has a nice car or luxury stuff is not wealthy, right? Some of them are, but definitely more people look more wealthy than they are in today's world. Number 2, constantly job hopping. So I thought this was an interesting point. And so what this article was implying is that, when you go job to job, you'll probably get an increase of your salary. And so you're just doing that to continue to make more money because of your lifestyle creep versus just investing in like a stable job, long term, which in today's world is like 5 years. That again, it's like that stability aspect and growing as you're growing within your job versus going job to job to get that hike. So I wouldn't have thought about this one, honestly, but I could see it because if you're needing more money, like instantly because you are spending more than what you're making, this could be a short-term fix. And then long-term, it does not look great on your resume. Number 3, dependent on credit cards. So when I read this, I was like, oh my gosh, I love when people, talk about Ramsey in a sense in our content because this is what we talk about all the time. And when they agree on our stance, when they're not Ramsey people, I'm like, oh, even better. So yes, we do see this, that credit card debt is at an all-time high. I mean, it's officially reached over $1 trillion, which is crazy. Now, some people are charging the credit card to keep up with basic necessities, but we're also seeing, again, without lifestyle creep, what are those necessities? And we do find that you add in more to your life and you have to keep up with that. And sometimes your income doesn't keep up. So you end up going to credit cards, which is making the situation worse. So here's one thing, though, I am going to add to the list, not taking internet safety seriously. You guys, trust me, that's going to cost you because we are on the internet all the time, right? We do so much shopping, so much work, so much booking travel, like everything that's out there in the world is online. And so we're putting our information out there all the time, which means it is out there for people to get, to steal, and to even trade or actually make money off of your info. Some of these companies do that. And with Delete Me, they go in and remove your online information. I just got my Delete Me report recently. They come out like once a quarter, and they've saved me close to 65 hours of doing research of trying to remove my information online. You can save up to 20% on annual Delete Me plans, which ends up being around $9 a month. So you can click the link below to check them out or go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel. All right, back to the list. Number 4 is living in the moment. And I can see this because when you splurge just kind of on these quick hits, again, it may be at a small scale, but when you live on that impulse life, you may be looking great, but you're not doing things long term that are actually going to create wealth. Things like saving for the future and investing in retirement and all of this stuff. And so when you see people that are very impulsive, again, you may think like, oh my gosh, they just may have tons of money. Like, look at them. They can just, book that trip or buy that thing and they don't have to save up. Well, sometimes they're charging it to debt. Like sometimes they're using debt to do that. And because of that, then they are, again, digging deeper in this hole, financially speaking, because in order to get out of that, they have to pay all that off before they start saving and investing. So what's crazy is people that actually have more patience end up becoming wealthier because they look at the long term versus the short term. Number 5, not budgeting. So if you think that you're somebody that's like, oh yeah, I'm comfortable, I don't need a budget, like no big deal. Let me just tell you, that's not the case. So if you hear people that are saying that, again, they may try to look like, oh yeah, no big deal. I don't have to budget because I have so much money and like, it's fine. But can I tell you, even wealthy people follow a budget. That's actually what keeps them wealthy is that they have intentionality around where their money's going. And so don't let this kind of free living feeling of like, oh yeah, it's just not a big deal. Or again, under the assumption, oh, someone must just have tons of money that they don't have to budget. No, wealthy people have a plan for their money. And so if you need a monthly budget, make sure to check out Every Dollar. It is so easy. It is so effective for budgeting. Number 6 is obsessed with appearance. And so it can be expensive, you guys, like to get all the beauty treatments and all the bougie designer clothes and the shoes and the accessories and the vacations and like all the things, like all of that is very, very expensive. And when you're obsessed with that, and that's where you're putting all of your money and or all of your debt towards, it's getting you nothing. Because at the end of the day, not only does it not fulfill you emotionally when you're just buying stuff and crap that you don't need, but it's also, you're putting money into things that, again, I'm not against some of those things. Like if you want to do Botox or buy a nice bag, like again, I'm not against those, but it's the priority of which you are living your life. And for a lot of people that are just trying to keep up, they end up spending money and sometimes money they don't have to keep up that appearance because they're so obsessed with it versus saying, oh yeah, I'm so confident in who I am that like, I don't need all that stuff. If I want it, it's fine, but it's not this need. And when it becomes a need, you become desperate and you end up spending so much money on it. All right, number 7 is avoiding important financial discussions. People that just like don't want to talk about it, there may be this level of denial and they may not want to see it, right? So if someone does have the ability to say, oh yeah, we have some margin and some peace in this area of our lives, you're more likely to talk about it. And so it can be very uncomfortable to talk about money, especially if you're not in a good spot financially. So if someone is very reluctant, either they've had like really big past hurts in their life, or they get to this point where they're like, oh yeah, I've made so many mistakes. I don't want people to see it. All right, number 8 is lack of financial knowledge. So this is interesting because I always say that personal finance is 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge, but there is still that 20%. Like you still want to be able to understand what is going on with your money. And that's everything from like your mortgage rates to what a retirement match is in a 401k, what leasing a car is versus, buying a car with cash or on payments. And so understanding how money works is always very, very crucial. And if people don't know the basics of that, but yet they look like they're doing really well, I probably have some questions. Number 9 is always needing to have the latest and the greatest. So people that are really secure, like they don't need to prove it, right? By being like on the forefront of every single trend. They're okay. They're confident in their own skin. But again, back to that idea of just spending to show an appearance of something. If that is constant in someone's life, again, I would be curious about how they really are doing financially. And number 10, no long-term financial goals. So this was a good one. And I agree. Like if you are living in the moment day in and day out, like you're probably going to end up being broke. And I'm all about being present, enjoying your life. But you have to be looking out far enough of like 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. That's everything from I want to, save up for a down payment for a home. I want to help my kids with college in the next 8 years. Retirement's coming. Like when you look far out, there's wisdom in that. And so if you are not at all caring about that and you're just living in the moment, I think that's a pretty dangerous place to be financially. So all of that list, again, some I agree with, a lot of them I do agree with. Some of them I had never thought about, but I think it's a great list. But I'll give you my list of 3 to actually really help you become wealthy. Number 1 is to get out of debt. If you are using your money, your income, and instead of investing it and your money making money for you, you are making money for the bank, you're going in the wrong direction. Number 2, I would say to have an emergency fund. So when you have cash in the bank, ideally 3 to 6 months of expenses and things come up, you fall back on your money versus falling back on the bank's money. So that puts you in a good spot financially. And then number 3, start investing. When you invest 15% of your income into retirement, it is a beautiful thing. What happens over the long term, compound interest is wonderful. So again, living debt-free, having savings and investing, like it sounds so simple and it's not flashy and exciting. But let me tell you, just put those rhythms in your life, have fun on top of that. But it's amazing the peace and the stability that comes with that. Now, if the idea of budgeting specifically sounds nice, but maybe you're a little intimidated, learn how to create your first budget in 5 simple steps in my next episode. Click here for that. Or if you're listening on podcast, I'll put a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. When it comes to home ownership, there's always the question of, hey, should we just build a house? Because I feel like there's a lot of new builds happening. Or should we buy an existing one? Well, turns out there are pros and cons to both. So today, we're going to talk about what you need to think through if you are considering building a house or buying an existing home and figuring out what's best for you and your family. Now, before we jump in, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. All right. Now, when you talk about home ownership, again, the housing market still is pretty crazy. I feel like it's like leveled out a little bit, but there's a lot of opinions out there about when to buy a home, what kind of home to buy. And so I think understanding, okay, we are going to go and buy a home when you are in that position financially, figuring out what is best for you to go and build something or to buy an existing home. Winston and I, we have done both. We have bought an existing home and the current home we're in, we built. But to give you an idea, kind of what we're thinking, let's break it down, the pros and cons. We'll start with building. So a pro to building, Probably the most obvious that most people love is that you get to make a lot of decisions. So you get to customize, possibly the floor plan, the finishes, the fixtures. Like you really get to go in, and depending on the type of development that you're, building in, the builder themselves, all of that, there can be a lot of decisions that you get to make, or down to you get to pick a floor plan that they have that's already existing. But the idea that you kind of get to put some touches of what you like, from colors to finishes, all of that's really fun. And you kind of get to create your own. I see that as a major pro. Also, most of the time it is less maintenance than an older home. So some brand new homes, some of them, they've gone up really fast and people find that they have a lot of issues. But if it's a really well-built home, then you're going to have new things like appliances, roof, HVAC. And again, they should be able to last you for the next, multiple years ahead. And you're not feeling like you have to go and change it out like if it's an older home. Also, low energy costs. So new homes, it should have the latest energy efficient systems. So you possibly are paying less when it comes to your bills in that way. Now the cons. Number one is the price. And this is probably the biggest con to consider because on average, it costs $150,000 more to build a new house. And some of those, factors really are hidden costs when it comes to upgrades, unforeseen problems, post-move costs. Like the thing about building that people always say is it's usually going to cost way more than you think, and it's going to take longer than you think. So remembering that, it can get really, really expensive really fast. So you have to be very diligent on your budget. Also, no negotiations. So unlike buying an existing home, there's not a lot of flexibility when it comes to closing costs or the purchase price of the home, what they're building and what the builder and how they make their money. It's pretty much just set in stone. Also, the wait. It could take a year to build a new home and have everything planned out, right? So it's the planning, the approvals, the construction, all of it. So it can take a lot longer to do that. And so if you are in a position where you don't have that time, that can definitely be a con. Now, a quick side note, if you're thinking about buying a home and that's kind of stressing you out, it might be time to start eliminating some stresses in your life in other areas. And that is one reason I recommend Delete Me. Delete Me gives you peace of mind when it comes to protecting your personal information online. And if you don't remove your personal data from the internet, it's basically like a billboard out there. Your name, your address, even your kids' names, your email, all of those things, all of that information is out there on sketchy data broker websites. And they go and collect your data and then they sell your data, and that puts you at risk for scams and fraud. But the good news is that Delete Me removes your data to help protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Winston and I use Delete Me, and it saves us so much time and worry. So you guys, your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So sign up for Delete Me and take control. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, bringing your monthly cost to under $9. Or you can click the link in the description. All right, we've covered the building side, right? The pros and the cons. Now let's talk about buying an existing home. So the pro is the price. Again, building a home is going to be more expensive usually than buying an existing home. And most of the time, buying an existing home is going to be cheaper. Plus, you can negotiate a lower price and even some repairs with the seller. There's more on your side there. Also, there's a quicker close. Usually you can close in 30 to 60 days. And if you have a deadline that you need to be moving, that's usually a really good option. Also is location. So by saving money on the house itself, you may be able to buy in a more expensive or desirable neighborhood or, where you are in the city, because you're going to be able to say, hey, there's some savings here. Maybe we can get in a better area with an existing home. All right, let's talk about the cons. Number one is repairs. As homes get older, they're going to need more repairs, obviously. And according to the U.S. Census Bureau, older homes, especially those built before 1950, tend to cost significantly more to maintain. So major repairs, think about a new roof or a water heater, all of those can be really costly. And according to Home Advisor, the average new roof costs around $6,200 to $8,400. So sometimes insurance can get in there, but also it can be really tough. And then we have seen with older homes, you have to be on the lookout for mold, lead paint, all of that. So just being aware, but your inspection hopefully will cover most of that. Also, you might have to face compromises. This is a con to buying because you're not building something from the ground up that you have all the control over. You're buying something existing. So it's probably not likely that you're going to find a house that checks all of your boxes. You're probably going to have to settle for a couple of things. So just remembering that. Lastly is updates. Obviously, if the house is outdated, you're going to have to put your style, your renovations in, which can cost more. So be thinking about that ahead of time. So if you're still not sure whether you should buy or build, that's okay. Look at your options. That's the thing that gives me power always when I'm thinking about something. See multiple options. So if there's like a lot and you're like, maybe we should buy the lot and build on it later. Maybe look at a couple of lots when you're looking at building, or different neighborhoods. Or if there's a house, look at different existing homes out there. Like, have your options, because I promise things will start to you'll look at the pros and cons list, and quickly you'll figure out like what is best for you guys. But when you are financially ready to buy, it is so fun. This is a fun part of life. When you get to be a homeowner, it's great. And I think, again, it could be very, very stressful in so many ways. So options give you power. Just remember that. Now, if you still want to learn more, make sure to check out the Real Estate Home Base. And this is going to give you so many resources when it comes to financing and buying, even selling your home. So make sure to check that out. And if you want to keep learning on what mistakes to avoid when selling, then keep watching my next episode, 5 Mistakes to Avoid When Selling Your Home. You can click here, or if you're listening on podcast, I will leave a link below. All right, you guys, as always, make sure to take control of your money and create a life you love. So today I have Nero Feliciano on the show, and I'm so excited about this, you guys. She was on with me a few months ago, and she's absolutely incredible. She's a psychotherapist, and the way that she processes when it comes to relationships and even anxiety, boundaries, all the things, she just brings such incredible tactical wisdom to our lives. And I love her personally. So the fact that we got to sit down and have this conversation, I was so excited about, because with her, I really wanted to dive into relationships and money. And so we're going to talk all through friendships, kids and money, spouses, all the above. So make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. And here's our conversation. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I know, thanks for being back. And so last time you were on, we talked about the holidays and all of that. But now I really want to dive in with you during this time to talk about money and relationships, because I'm not kidding how many questions I get either via social media or on the Ramsey Show, so much around relationships and money. And this could be adult kids talking about their parents, marriage, their own kids. Fiancés, it's just all over the place. Money is just this hot button topic for people. And some people find it really hard to talk about anyways. Okay, why? I think I have my reasons, but yours are probably way better from from a therapist standpoint though. But for real, why is money, it seems like such a sore subject. And maybe you can lump religion in there, sex in there too. I think there's hard subjects everywhere, but money for some reason is a weird one.
Well, I sat and thought about this on a deeper level, because I was thinking about it. Okay, why is it so hard to talk about? Why is it something that we have questions about all the time, but we don't necessarily voice them? Money is so intricately tied to identity, right? And that's why it gets so personal.
Yes.
And you look at just 2 examples of people who grew up with money, people who did not. It shapes the lens in how we see the world, in what we think is possible, in our self-worth, in how we feel validated, and also what we think of in terms of possibilities that are even in the realm of possibility for each individual, and it can be drastically different depending on your views about money and how you grew up. We also attach a set of beliefs to money, right? So say you look at someone with a lot of money, all of a sudden there's certain beliefs that are attached to that person.
That's so true. A stereotype about them.
Stereotype, right? And people who don't have money. And especially if you look at people who have gone from not having money to having money, they often feel like an identity crisis, right? They feel like they don't know who they are. And all of a sudden people think differently about them. They treat them differently. So there's so many layers to that. Why is it so complicated?
Yes.
But I think those are some of the components. Yes.
Okay, do you think, because I say this sometimes, so no pressure, you can say I'm wrong. But I'll say a lot of times in some of our events, if I have to contrast the two, I always tell people, or I always use the example of money's not a scorecard. It's not your identity. It can't be, because if it is, then we end up twisted into all these other things. but it's a tool. Like it is a thing in our lives that's there. Some people have more of this, a bigger tool, some people not as much, but we get to use that tool for our lives. And I almost try to like take out that level of identity because I think I see it being so disruptive.
Right.
But as you were talking, I was like, okay, it is so tied to our identity, but is that always, do you think is that a bad thing? Should it be? Should it not be? I don't know, from like a therapist standpoint.
Oh.
Do you have an opinion about it?
Yeah, I don't think it should be.
Okay.
But I think it is for many people.
Yes,
and I think the way you described it is a healthy use of money, a healthy perception of
Thank
money.
God. Yeah. I was like, man, maybe it really is.
No. I think that's the goal,
yes,
right?
Yes.
That's the goal, that it isn't.
Yes.
It's a tool, but it has become very much tied to identity. And again, I mean, we talked a little bit about social media on the last episode.
Yeah.
But I think that's a piece of it too, because our lives have become so performative. Right?
100%.
So it is very clear to see who has money and who doesn't.
Yes,
and it doesn't mean that those who don't aren't offering something incredible, even on social media, right?
No. Right, totally.
Not to say, but
well, what's so messed up is the people that look like they have it may not even have it.
That's exactly right.
You know what I mean? So then you have this perception of like everybody must be doing great.
Yes.
And
everyone's
I'm the only one struggling
for the summer and seeing these amazing
right.
places. How is this happening?
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Yeah. No,
Oh
you're
my
right.
God.
It's a false perception.
So the one relationship that I feel like I talk about the most and see the most when it comes to money is marriage.
Yes.
And so it is always, money's always in the top of the top 5, top 3. Sometimes it's the number 1 reason of separation and divorce.
It's usually number 1.
Yes, in America, yes. And so when we look at that, and again, here at Ramsey, I think because we're like in it so much and we hear so many issues and people's problems, we like quickly can identify, majority of the time, it's not a money problem. It's a marriage problem.
It is,
and
right.
it's coming out as a money problem. But what causes, what do you think, that tension point? Does it go back because it's our identity and we are usually so opposite as spouses? Or why do you think it is always the number 1 reason?
I think, again, multifactorial, right?
Sure.
And we can start with family of origin, our beliefs about money, how were we raised? Were we raised in that scarcity mindset or an abundance mindset? And then whatever that looked like, that becomes our normal. That's our baseline.
Yes.
So all of a sudden we think, okay, this is the way it is. This is the way the world works. And then we marry somebody or we're in a relationship with somebody who has totally opposite beliefs.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, because there is that piece that's tied to identity, or at least our beliefs and how we see the world, someone's telling us you're wrong. That's not how it is. That isn't how it works.
It's very threatening.
It's very
scary.
threatening, and it feels very personal, especially if money triggers anxiety. That person becomes a huge trigger for our discomfort, and it affects, we have to deal with it every day, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So it's a constant. And then we also have the fact that different people have different goals when it comes to money, different hopes, and that may be reflected in our values too. So we're talking about things that are deeply personal, deeply psychological. So when we put them on the table, there's a lot of vulnerability there.
Yes.
And if it's not met with encouragement and empathy and understanding, which how many times we have money conversations where that's a part of the equation?
Totally.
Right?
Yep.
It can feel very intense.
Yes.
Very intense, brings up all the intense emotions, anger, hurt, sadness. And ultimately, and then we might walk away feeling like, you don't understand me.
Yes.
And then we go back to this idea of scarcity, but not in the sense of, the way we often talk about it, but people having those conversations feeling like, I'm not enough, or I don't do enough. Or maybe you don't do enough. That's what my feeling is about you. So, I mean, all of those things.
It's
heightened
messy.
Emotions and complex.
Yes.
So unless we have those tools to just have these conversations in general about anything in the marriage, unless we have them, they're especially needed when it comes to the topic of money.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So interesting, because it is always, it's kind of what you said, but I think it is so true. It's always rooted to something deeper, right? And so it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you bought the name brand toilet paper from Why did you spend 15 more when we could? Oh my,
That's right.
And it's like, what is good? Like, and what I
is
found
it about the toilet paper?
That's
really?
right, exactly.
Right.
Yes, and so and it's all of marriage, and I feel like Winston and I are not perfect by any means, but one thing we have been working on so much is not being like, well, I can't believe you did X, Y, and Z. But to really try to, and it doesn't always work. It's not always perfect, but to try to understand like what made, I call it whooshing, where you're like,
yes,
whoosh.
yes.
I'm like,
yeah.
I just whooshed. I was like, oh my gosh, that just made me like.
That should be a term.
I know, whoosh. Yeah. I know, we're whooshing.
Describes it well.
But I'm like, if that ever comes through me, and I'm such an urgent person, so I immediately want to start verbalizing.
Yep.
But just to take a beat and be like, okay, what was that?
Yeah.
Why? Like, and can I do any self-reflection, like down to the root cause? And I think when you do that,
so healthy.
Well, and it doesn't always happen. But
it.
Also the scary thing is when you find that, and if it's kind of a new revelation of like, oh my gosh, I never thought I was insecure about that, or fill in the blank, to then bring that to another person. To your point, you pray that it is met with empathy and and more questions to be asked, curiosity. That type of bent, which my spouse is Winston's wonderful in that way, but for anybody, that's even scarier, right? It's almost easier to blame the toilet paper.
That's right. Than deal with your own stuff.
Yes, yeah. So how much is that, right? When that conflict arises in marriage, how much of it is our stuff versus there are situations where we get crazy calls sometimes of like, oh, my husband took out all the money from the 401k and now we have no money. And you're like, okay, that's crazy. Of course you're going to be freaked out. Yeah.
Yes.
So not the extremes, but more that like kind of middle ground.
So important because it doesn't just come out in money. It comes out everywhere.
Yes.
The root is the same. The manifestation of the root takes various forms, right? And money is one of those forms. We may see it more clearly because it has such a direct impact on our daily life and our bigger picture life. But we have to sit there and see what is coming up right now as I'm having this conversation. And even questions like, why do I feel like it's important to buy that toilet paper, right? And what else am I doing that is similar in the same vein where whatever it is that your spouse is not in agreement. So, and part of why that is so good is I always say when you go into a conversation, especially in marriage, you got to own your own stuff first.
Yes.
A lot of times we come in able to see perfectly what's wrong with the other person.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yes,
I mean, that
100%.
is so clear to us.
Yes.
But if we start with owning what we can own, it automatically takes defenses down.
Yes.
And that gives us more potential to have a productive conversation and come up with a solution there.
Yes, that's so good. All right, more of my conversation with Nero here in a minute. But first, I do want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Christian Healthcare Ministries. More than 100 million Americans carry medical debt, which shows traditional coverage often leaves people to face big bills alone. Families need more than coverage. They need community. And that's why I love Christian Healthcare Ministries, a budget-friendly, faith-based alternative to health insurance. There are no networks, no insurance headaches, and programs start at $98 a month. Go to chministries.org/budget to learn more. And you guys, when you're working the baby steps, your bank shouldn't be working against you, which is why I love Fairwinds Credit Union. They share Ramsey values like getting out of debt, saving for the future, and putting people first. Their smart checking and savings bundle was designed to line up with the baby steps. So if you're ready to move your money somewhere that supports your financial goals, Fairwinds is what you've been looking for. Just head to fairwinds.org/Ramsey to open your smart checking and savings bundle today. So with our kids, when we're thinking about our kids, people ask me a lot, like, oh my gosh, how do I teach my kids about money? And what do I tell them about situations? And we were just talking about right before this that, I always use this phrase, share but don't scare.
I love that.
And so you do have to be like really discerning of what that is for each kid, right? Because it's not really even an age thing, but emotionally, like what can they handle? So what would you say to a family that maybe financially they're going through like a hardship, and they're at this point where they're like, we're going to have to make some hard decisions. Our lifestyle's going to have to change some. Or maybe they have been quote unquote fine, but maybe they're trying to get out of debt. And they're like, listen, we're going to sacrifice our lifestyle in order to do this. But if there's changes with money, and more in a quote unquote like negative way, more taking away for the kids' lifestyle, how do you approach that with your kids? How would you say to have these conversations?
Because you want them to be mindful. And I think it depends on the age of the kid and the developmental readiness to have these conversations. And really what that reflects is how much detail are we going to share, right?
Yes, that's right,
if they're a really young kid, you might not want to talk about the fact that you just got laid off yesterday, right? Whereas an older kid might be able to handle it. But I think at the end of the day, any conversation that has potential to affect kids emotionally, you want to start with where they're at and what they know. So maybe they've already seen changes. Maybe they've seen a parent around all the time. Asking questions is good. You know, what do you think about, you know, what you're seeing right now at home? But I think it's important to be transparent about that. And you want them to understand, especially as they're going into adulthood, there are changes that are going to happen in life, and we can adapt to those changes, right? It's not the end of the world. You want to reassure them that certain things are not going to change. So you might want to start with that even. You know, we're together as a family. There's amazing things that we're going to do. We're going to have fun. These are the things that we're going to continue to do. We may have to make changes when it comes to, you know, whatever it is. I mean, for some families, it's, you know, just basic discretionary spending. We're not going to Starbucks every week or whatever it is that they do.
Totally.
But that's okay. And there might be a time where we can do that again.
Yes.
But for now, we're going to all do this together as a family.
Yes.
Maybe there is that financial goal. You know, maybe there's a financial reward at the end of it too, where they can look ahead to say, if we do this now, then we can look forward to this in the future.
Yeah. And what that does too is when you do have to, whether it's your own choosing or not, pull back on some of just the quote unquote spending and stuff, it almost declutters, right, in a sense, your life and what you've been doing. And then you can kind of actually get back to this root of family and connection and all of this. So with that side, more of like that emotional side of life and money, our kids walk through so much like comparison. They see, I mean, and I know that like I had some of this even in high school, but, and I hate to like compare generations, but I'm like, mine was like a $15 Abercrombie t-shirt or something.
We talk about this all the time.
And now it's like, I mean, $79,
crazy,
you know, yoga pants from, you know, or whatever
trips
it is.
to Sephora when they're 10 years old,
yes,
you know?
Yes, I mean, it's just, it seems like more expensive and bigger even now for the kids today. So for parents, how do you parent in today's world? I mean, I can talk all day about budgeting and like all of that, but like when it comes to like the heart issues and all of that, how do you coach parents in that?
Number one, you have to model it. You know, you have to look at the messaging in your household. You're telling them not to compare. They don't have to have everything, but are you trying to keep up with everybody around you? Are you talking about what that person looks like or what they have?
Yeah, the conversations, can I tell you? That's what's wild. What they pick up on. I know I always heard that. People are like, oh my gosh, your kids pick up on everything. Now, unbelievable. So yeah, I think your conversation, what you're saying, they are assuming you're valuing that. If that's what you talk about.
Model it. I actually, this was what my first book was about. This book won't make you happy. It was all about contentment.
Yes.
And comparison is big in that realm, right? I mean, it takes us away from contentment really fast.
100%.
But I think that's a piece of it. And the other thing is, comparison, I mean, in some ways it's gotten a bad rap. I mean, there is this psychological process called a heuristic that utilizes comparison in a very healthy way.
In a good way,
us to make decisions, right?
Totally.
But the problem is we're always doing what's called upward social comparison, not downward. So we're always looking at people who have more, do more, are better, but not the reverse. And this is also where I think volunteer and service is so important as a family and for your kids. And I'll give you an example. When I took my daughter to college recently, as you know, we walked into a room. It was tiny, Rachel. This room was tiny. And not
is
only
she sharing it
she's
too?
Sharing with someone else.
Yes.
But the bathroom is in their room and it's attached to a triple. And those girls have to come into their room to use a bathroom. So I was looking at it like, oh my gosh, and trying to be positive about it. Like it's so tiny. I was like, it's small. And she goes, Mom, like, I've done ASP. That's the Appalachian Service Project. She and my husband and her brother go every year. And she's like, I've seen how those people live. Like, this is fine. This is fine. She said that to me.
Unbelievable.
Know? So it gets in their psychology. You have to expose them to other things other than the bubble that they're living in.
Yes.
And that makes a difference. It
so
makes
good.
a difference.
Oh my gosh.
It's a good use of comparison.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Okay, I love the upward. I've never heard that though.
Yes.
The upward comparison. That's so true
Versus
though. Because
downward.
I always kind of take it in the negative.
Sure.
Because it's that. But versus, oh, that's so good.
And the upward can inspire us, right?
100%. Yes. Yeah. And there's always still a level of, and I wish I remember who wrote this. sorry, author that I'm not going to quote you on, of like it's natural, like even tribe instinct of like, where do I, just from like a survival standpoint, right? So I mean, like there's a part of it that's just so innate, but it's when it gets excessive.
Yeah.
And when we start driving our own decisions because of everyone else, right? Like there starts to be a point. Okay, so let's talk about another relationship, friends. So this is like, it's a different world, I feel like a little bit too, as we talked about like what our kids are growing up in, but even today. So I hear from people a lot of like, I'm in a wedding and I have a bachelorette party and I have, or a trip, not even a party, I'm going on a trip. It's a trip. It's a trip. These showers and all this, it's like the wedding expenses. And then, you know, you can have the babies. I'm at the age, I'm going to show my age, it's like the 40th, you know, birthdays are happening. And they've been happening for a few years, like with this span. But
there are trips with those too.
Now there's trips, the 50. I mean, it's just, I think they're going to people 30 now or I don't know. It's just, it feels like there's a lot of money being spent. And it's wonderful and fun if you have the ability to do it. But when you look at your budget and you're like, I can't be in 4 of my friends' weddings to do X, Y, and Z, or I can't fly to this city because my best friend's having her baby. Right. You know, whatever it looks like, friendship seems to be costing more and more. And so
friendships are expensive.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Right.
Yes.
So, and I know obviously if you have a great friend, my prayer is that people have the friends that if you say I can't do it, that they, number one, understand. Number two, maybe find a workaround, or you know, whatever. Like that's a perfect scenario. But if people are in relationships with other people, friendships, and they feel like I don't know how I'm going to say no to this. That friend is not going to be happy. Even they feel guilty, you know, maybe for not going. How do we navigate friendships when there is such a big price tag these days?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question because we're seeing it everywhere.
Yes.
And I mean, one thing you said, I hope people have these great friendships so they can say no. If it is a great friendship, they will understand.
Yes.
And if it's not, why are you spending all this money on that person who's not going to understand? You know, and I think this is a point where a lot of friendships change.
Yes.
And a lot of friendships end. I mean, I've seen so many people who are no longer friends after the wedding because of all of the bride's expectations and when they were not met and the fallout from that.
Yes.
So you have to, and friendships change every 7 years. You know, we're going to gain friends, lose friends.
Wasn't there like a 7-year marriage itch for a while? Wasn't that like the thing with marriage too? Yes.
We're both over that.
But friendship, But friendship has a 7-year cycle.
Because we change and we evolve and we may not connect as deeply with friends if they're not evolving in the same direction that we are, you know, and if our friendship was based on things that ultimately are not that consequential, you know, as you get older. So I think if you are uncomfortable saying no, maybe take a read of who else is going and have that conversation with someone else and say, you know, I don't think I can do this. Yeah. And I'd really want to do it, but I can't do it. Yeah. That's a perfectly nice, kind way that you can bring it up to someone and say, I love you so much and I want to be there and do this, but financially it's going to be a lot for me. Yeah. I would love to participate in this. I'm not going to be able to do this.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And if they're a great friend, amazing. And if they're not, maybe that's when you realize, hey, all right, well then I'm justified in not investing this.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not wanting to feel left out. Right? So that may not be a great friend, but the FOMO is real.
Yes, yes.
And that's a deeper issue then that you have to deal with because that's going to affect other areas of your life as well. Yeah. But I think it's always easier if there is one person in the group who you can share that with. And usually you're not the only one
that's feeling that way.
That's not. And I think you just have to give people permission to say, you can say no. It's okay.
Totally.
This is a lot to put on people, especially with the way life costs in general.
100%.
To add on top of this.
I know. It is. Like, these questions that I'll get sometimes from people in like scenarios, that's one thing I love about social media. Is that, like people like let you into their life and they're like, hey, what do you think about this? Yeah. I'm not able to get to all of them, but you read them, and sometimes I'm like, I just want to give you a hug because Sarah is terrible. That's like, you know, this friend that's like making you feel X, Y, and Z because you have to say no.
Horrible. Right.
But it's more common than I think. I think I do live in like a friendship bubble probably. But it feels like, it feels so real for people. Yeah. And it's really sad because I think that's the point too, is you kind of can get to this point with a person and you hate that money is the quote unquote reason. But like we said, even with the marriage, it's not even, the money's the filter at which you're seeing it. But if that person doesn't really value you.
No, I know. And I think, you know, as you get older, hopefully you have more friends because you've learned along the way who who will have your back in those situations and will understand. But
Yes.
I mean, I've been on both sides of the equation. There are times where I was like, I'm not doing that. You
Yeah,
know, I
totally.
can't do that right
Yes,
now.
yes.
And then I've had people also say, hey, you know what, that's pricey. And in that situation, the friends are good friends. We look for other things that we can do.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
And that's a perfectly reasonable expectation to have if they are your good friends.
Yes.
Right? Or they will not be offended if they are good friends.
Yeah.
And if they are going to be offended, and if they are going to leave you out, and if they are going to treat you badly because of it, maybe it's time to invest your time and energy in other relationships.
Somewhere else. Yeah. Say bye to Sarah.
Right.
We need to get rid of her.
Might not need Sarah anymore.
We may not want her anymore. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming back.
Thank you
I know.
for
This was
having
so
me.
fun. I just love, seriously, all your wisdom. You're incredible.
And yours too.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't know. You have a lot, though. It's great. Okay, and where can people want to see more of you? Where can they find you?
Well, on today.com, if you put my name in, you'll see a lot of the things that I've written about and talked about, but also on my website, neurofeliciano.com, and on Instagram.
Perfect. So great. All right. Well, you guys make sure to check out everything that she's doing, and we'll put some of those links down below. Now, be sure to check out the episode I did with Neuro when we talked all about holidays and when it comes to boundaries and having margin, all the things. So make sure to click right here to watch that. Or if you're listening on podcast, I will leave a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. So today we decided to lean into the fun, and there are a handful of financial topics in this bowl that are controversial. And I'm going to pull one out, share my hot takes. It's going to be fun. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All righty, y'all ready? First topic. Dun, 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 dun. Using credit cards for points. Oh, yeah. I see you, credit card. I see you. Okay, listen. Here's the thing. I get that there's a game, and I get that people are like, okay, but I did this. I got to fly to Alaska and then to Tokyo and then to Dubai, all for free, first class, because of my credit card points, like whatever. Okay, I hear you. But what we have to understand is like they are playing the game on the other end, and they are making billions of dollars, you guys, like so much money off of us. And to understand, okay, they are winning at a game, and I am not. So what you don't see in some of that is not only the amount of money you tend to overspend when you use other people's money, and that has been proven through studies, and also the fact that you may be paying your credit card off every month, and you're like, yeah, but I'm not paying interest. Well, it's the people that aren't paying their credit card off every month, and some of these people are very much struggling, that then that's how the perks get paid to get paid out to other people. So like the whole thing about it, I don't like. And I don't like the idea of a credit card either, because I don't want to bill at the end of the month. Like I want to pay for the thing in the moment for my Jersey Mike sub or whatever it's going to be, like in the moment, and then I'm be done with it. And so there's something about living in the present with your money that's really important. So get the credit cards out of here. But I know that's controversial. All right. Should the government forgive student loan debt? Okay. I mean, my heart, let me say this, my heart and my head say two different things, because my head says, which is the truth, that, you know, you sign up for something, you owe it. Like that's what it is. Like that is the truth of it. And to have other people pay for something that you signed up for, I could see is not fair. Like I get that. Now, my heart says though that, you know, these 18-year-olds that are signing up for these loans, a lot of them don't even know what they're doing. Like their frontal lobe isn't even fully formed. And it's sadly, the irresponsible people in their lives that are like, go and do it. Yeah, this is great. And then they get themselves in a mess. And so I hate that they take on, some of them, basically a mortgage, like so much money, some of them hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And nobody seems to, you know, talk to them about this, or the industry isn't like, hey, that's probably not a great idea. And they're 18-year-olds doing this. So like my heart, I hate it. I hate it so much, because I don't think it's fair in one way that you're 18 and you sign up for this and you may not even know what you're signing up for. You may not, you don't realize it. But then on the other hand, you know, you sign something, you got to pay it. So, that's a hard one, but it's what it is. All right. Getting a prenup. Okay. My take on prenups. My knee jerk is always a no. I don't like the idea of saying like, okay, well, this is mine and this is yours. And if something happens, like, we get all this divided up. I don't know. There's something about it that I'm like, you just want the idea of marriage to be what it is, like this lifelong commitment, right? But then on the other hand, knowing that that doesn't turn out, half of the time. And if you have a lot of assets going into a marriage, then that is the one time that I would say, yeah, maybe a prenup is not a bad idea. If there's a major financial discrepancy, then there's a time and a place for it. So I'm not a black and white no on prenups or a black and white yes. Some people are like, no matter what. But I'm like, no, I'm sorry. The 2014 Honda Civic, okay, sorry. If the assets get divided towards let that be part of it. I don't know. There's something about this gatekeeping I don't like. But if there is a discrepancy there and you feel like this would be a wiser move to do the prenup, yeah, I get it. Next, giving 10% of your money or more away. So we always say to be giving regardless of where you are financially. And a lot of people think, well, gosh, but I could be using that money to get out of debt or to save it for my emergency fund or do other things with it. But when you are talking about money, you're talking about the whole person because we are the ones handling our money. And the character that you put on as a person throughout your financial journey is so crucial. And when you give and you live your life with an open hand, there is a selflessness. There is a place of serving and giving and sacrifice that's really beautiful. And having that to be a part of your life and your character, regardless of where you are financially, I'm on board with. Before I see what else is in here for us, let me tell you about one of our incredible sponsors, Delete Me. So if you don't remove your personal data from the internet, it's basically like a billboard for everyone to see. It's your name, your address, your email, even your kids' names are out there on sketchy data broker websites. And those data brokers then collect your data and sell it, and that puts you at risk for scams and fraud. But the good news is Delete Me removes your data and helps protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off their annual plans, bringing your monthly cost to under $9 a month, or click the link in the description. All right, next up, what do we got? Sports betting, day trading, and crypto. No. All of this. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of sports betting. I think it's stupid. I mean, do what you want with it, but I mean, it can lead to some dark places. And there are a lot of stories out there, you guys, where people get in over their heads, and it's not good. Not good. Day trading, it's very risky. I'm exhausted. I'm sorry. I don't have time to sit there and be on my phone on Robinhood and No, I can't. So mutual funds, long-term investments, high yield savings. I mean, all of it. I'm like, just go, let it be, and let it ride the wave. And I just want to enjoy my life and have some peace and not be looking at my phone all the time. Even though I do sometimes for social media, I don't want to look at it to day trade. And then crypto, I'm just not a fan. I think it may become legit here in a little bit. And some people are like, it is legit now. And I'm like, no, it is so freaking all over the place. And the amount of calls we get on the Ramsey Show with crypto scams is horrible. So it's an industry I'm not willing to be in on right now. And a lot of people love it. And the crypto bros think it's amazing. But again, I'm old school and I have a lot of peace in my life because of it, I think. So there's that. All right, next. Paying for kids' college using home equity. No, do not pull equity out of your home to pay for your kids' college. No. Your kids, they can go in-state. They can go to a community college, scholarships and grants. They can work. They can take a gap year, work, save a lot of money. I mean, there's ways to do the college thing. But taking equity out of your home to do it, that's a hard no for me. Next, having a 15-year versus a 30-year mortgage. Okay, so we always recommend a 15-year because part of getting out of debt quickly is putting systems in place that help you do that. And 15-year, it's going to help you get out of debt and pay off your mortgage in 15 years. Now, hopefully you do it sooner than that. We see that a lot of people are paying off their homes in 9 years, 8 years, which is amazing. But the idea that the 30-year, everyone's like, I can pay it like a 15. So listen, it's just one of those things. Put yourself in a system that's going to get you to where you want to go the most efficiently. and a 15-year does that. Now, if you want more information when it comes to real estate in general, go to RamseySolutions.com/real estate, and you can access our dashboard. And there's so many helpful resources and tools on there when it comes to the home buying process and just kind of what's going on in the market. So that's a fantastic place to check out. All right, last but not least, charging kids rent if they move back home during or after college. I'll be honest, I'm not like the biggest fan. I get the motivation is because you want them to feel like they're contributing something, or if they were out on their own and paying their own rent, it'd probably be more expensive, but at least they're doing something so that's in their budget. Like all of that I understand. But if it's for a season, because I'm not a fan of someone living at home for like a long period of time. So for a season, I probably wouldn't charge my kids rent just because I want them to be able to like have their budget, know what they're going to do when they launch into the real world and actually start to live on their own. That part of budgeting and part of paying for things is already going to be mapped out and they know it's happening. So I think some parents want to for like responsibility's sake. So it's not a wrong thing, but I don't think it's absolutely 100% necessary. All right, my controversial hot takes don't end here. Make sure to check out 6 things I teach about money that'll make you angry or wealthy. That's coming up after this. Or if you're listening on podcast, I will put a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Your income is the most powerful tool that you have when it comes to building wealth. And the good news is that the vast majority of people already have margin in their budget. They just need help finding it. So today, that is what we're going to do. And I'm going to take you through the 24-hour Money Finder Challenge, because on average, people that complete this challenge find an extra $400 in their budget. But before we begin, make sure to click subscribe and share this episode with a friend. Now listen, anyone can create a monthly budget, but in order to be successful with it, you actually have to stick to it. So make sure to go download the EveryDollar app. So this is a budgeting app that is going to help you when it comes to your numbers and to know where your money's going. So in order to find the margin we were talking about earlier, you want to be able to build out what you spend every single month. In order to do that, a couple of things you want to do. First, you want to go back and look at last month's expenses. So go and look at your spending from last month, and that's going to help you pull numbers to this month's budget. Because again, you want to get this rough idea of like, hey, here's what I think we are spending in each category. And listen, it doesn't have to be like specific dollar amounts. You have to type in every single cent. Just kind of round up and get an idea of, hey, here's where our money is going. And so when you're able to look back at last month, remember though, the numbers you're pulling from last month is when you didn't have a budget. So as you're pulling them forward to this month, as you're creating your first budget, those numbers that you're putting in may be a little big. You know, when you're doing a budget, what you're going to realize is that you're going to be able to save money because you're purposeful with where your money's going. When you don't live with a budget, you're more natural to overspend and to go and just, spend where you want and when you want. But when you have a budget, it's actually a plan. So we do find that when people live on a budget, they actually save money and are able to cut back on some of those categories. So again, when you're looking at the budgets from the numbers you've already pulled from last month, put those in. But no, these are numbers from when you didn't have a budget. So the first area of the budget I want you to focus on, though, is food. So out of these food expenses, there's really 3 different categories. There's groceries. So again, you're going to go back and be like, okay, what did we spend on groceries, throughout the month? Second is restaurants. And this is where you're going to be going out to eat. So, and I would include, again, restaurants. This could be fast food. Anytime you're going out to eat, make sure to put that in the budget. And then miscellaneous. So this could be like snacks. This could be like a Starbucks drink going to work. This could be like, $15 for popcorn at the basketball game. Like whatever it is that you see that, you are spending money on miscellaneously throughout the food category, you want to put that in. So within the food category, you're going to have groceries, restaurants, and kind of miscellaneous. So as you're pulling those numbers from last month, maybe you go through and realize, okay, groceries, gosh, that's a pretty high number. If I really, meal planned and focused on this, I probably could cut back a little bit. Or maybe some of the miscellaneous categories, in the food area, you're like, oh yeah, we really didn't need that. We probably got too much there. That could lower as well. So again, you're trying to find some margin on what you could be doing next month better than last month. All right, next is shopping and subscriptions. So you're going to write out all of these expenses that fall under these three categories and then actually cross out some things that are unnecessary. So number one is just shopping. Think about all the Target purchasing you're doing. Maybe you saw some shoes on Amazon that you bought. Maybe it was some little treats, like whatever is going on in the shopping part of your life. Look at all those transactions from last month, add them up, but then go through and think, okay, I didn't really need that. Oh, I could have gone lower here, and find some margin there. Number two is subscriptions and memberships. Go ahead and eliminate anything that you're not using. And I would even challenge you to cut down to maybe just one or two streaming services. It's amazing how often we can add up all of these. And it's like, oh yeah, HBO Max and Netflix and Hulu. And it's like you're adding all of these, but you're paying for them every single month. So condense those down and say, hey, let's just try to do one or two streaming services. And then any memberships that you're not using, go ahead and cancel those and cross those out. There should be some margin in that category. Number three is miscellaneous in the shopping sphere of your life. So think, movies or concerts, sporting events, like anything that you went to or spent money on. It's a little bit miscellaneous, kind of in that shopping genre of life. Maybe you say, hey, we could maybe cross some of this out, especially if you're needing some extra margin. You guys think through, yeah, we don't have to go to that, this to find some margin. And again, there should be some money freed up there. All right, part three that you're going to look at, which is really big, is insurance. And this is also a perfect time to tell you about one of our sponsors, Christian Healthcare Ministries. So when you go against what society thinks is normal, like avoiding debt, for example, it might feel and seem a little weird, and that is totally okay. Because it's good to be weird if that means that you're doing things intentionally, including how you spend your healthcare dollars. One way to be intentional is with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM isn't health insurance. They're a health cost-sharing ministry that's helped hundreds of thousands of families like yours take care of healthcare costs without sacrificing freedom. Programs start as low as $98 a month. Find out more and join at chministries.org/budget. That's chministries.org/budget. All right, so the third piece of this pie, again, is insurance. And our insurance checkup can really help you because when you go through it, you're going to enter in lots of information, but what it's going to able to show you is what you need to be protected when it comes to insurance. So there's certain coverages maybe you have that you don't need and some coverages maybe that you're missing. So again, when you're doing this insurance checkup, you're going to enter in a lot of information: age, marital status, dependent status, employed or unemployed, homeowner, renter, credit report. Like there's so much there. But then number two, it will ask you about your current insurance coverage. So it's going to ask you about auto, homeowners, renters, health insurance, and more. These aren't the only financial categories that matter when you're keeping a monthly budget and working towards building wealth, but these are the areas that people tend to overspend. So again, remember the big categories: food. Number two is shopping and subscriptions, kind of that lifestyle category. And number three is insurance. So when you tend to overspend on all those areas, it's hard to find margin. But when you tighten those up, you're going to find margin very, very quickly. Now, if you're following along and doing the 24-hour Money Finder Challenge with me, make sure to comment how much cash that you have been able to find, because it's been so fun hearing from you guys. And if you are just listening or observing and want to see your own results like this, make sure to click the link below to get started. All right, you guys, good luck creating some of that margin. And remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. So most of us have people in our lives that always seem to be a level ahead when it comes to building wealth and being financially responsible. So we have this over here. And then we also have technology over here, something called ChatGPT. So what do these two things have in common? Well, you're about to find out. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. So we went to ChatGPT to compile a list of habits that people who never overspend swear by. And y'all, I got to tell you, I was pleasantly surprised. It gave me a list, so I thought it would be fun. Because I went through the list, y'all, and I was like, oh my gosh, I agree with all of these. And so I want to know from you if you agree with them. But here's literally what it said, and I love it. So number one, they know their why. Yes and amen. So meaning they know why they're doing something with their money, their motivation. If they're in a season of sacrifice, They know why, they're sacrificing because they have a bigger goal. If they want to get out of debt, they know, okay, why do we want to get out of debt? When they're giving and being generous, they know why, because they want to change their family tree. I mean, like, they are so motivated by the underneath level, if you will, when it comes to their money, not just always like the numbers and stuff. So that can motivate you for a little bit. But if you don't have that why, when things that are hard in life hit you financially, that why is what carries you through most of it. And so when that came up at number 1, I thought, yes. All right, number 2, they intentionally track their spending. Okay, y'all, I did not make this up. And I don't think my ChatGPT knows it's like me, Rachel Cruze, that like does this. So when it said this, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So it is true, because people don't mindlessly just like, spend all the time whenever. Like, they really do know what they're spending, and when they spend it, they actually keep track of it. Like, it's not just like in their head. They don't have something in their head that they're just like, okay, I'll figure this out here. No. They're very intentional, and it is incredible. Now, when you track your spending, you can still enjoy it, right? Like that's the purpose of it all. But I agree with this point 100%. All right, number 3, they budget on purpose. There's that budgeting thing. Yeah, so it's not just tracking spending, but they budget. They know where their money's going, which is such a key factor, you guys, of winning with money. Regardless of where you are financially, you need to have a plan with your income. You need to know where it's going, because when you file taxes every year, I don't want you to look at that number and be like, holy crap, I made what? Where is it? Like, where did it all go? That you know exactly the job your income had when it hit your account, and you know what's going on. Now, if you need a great budgeting app, Every Dollar is wonderful. Make sure to check it out. Number 4, they limit credit card use. All right. Limit, I'd say completely do away with, if this is my list. They don't use credit cards, but this idea that they're not going to depend on other people's money to live their lives. And when you stop that, and you actually live in the present, and you use cash or your debit card or Apple Pay with your debit card, whatever it is, and you are actually in the moment, it is incredible that once that purchase is made, you're done. You're done. You're not waiting on some bill to pay everything later. Like, you can continue to look through the windshield of your financial life. And that's what I love. You just have full control, full autonomy, and that credit cards and banks aren't part of your life. All right, speaking of banks and all of that, I do want to tell you about one of our sponsors who offers incredible support as you work the Ramsey plan, Fairwinds. Y'all, when you are in the baby steps, your bank shouldn't be working against you. That's why I love Fairwinds Credit Union. They share Ramsey values like getting out of debt, saving for the future, and putting people first. Their smart checking and savings bundle was designed to line up with the baby steps. When you are ready to move your money somewhere that supports your financial goals, Fairwinds is what you've been looking for. Head to fairwinds.org/Ramsey to open your smart checking and savings bundle today. And also another incredible sponsor that we have is Christian Healthcare Ministries. And they really do help enhance your experience with healthcare coverage. More than 100 million Americans carry medical debt, which shows that traditional coverage is often leaving people with a big bill to face alone. So families need more than coverage. They need community. That's why I love Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM is a budget-friendly, faith-based alternative to health insurance, and they've paid over $12 billion in medical bills. I mean, that is faith in action. With CHM, there are no networks, no insurance headaches, and programs start at just $98 a month. Y'all, CHM is where your faith and your finances agree. So go to chministries.org/budget and learn more today. All right, back to our list. Number 5, they delay gratification. Yes and amen. Y'all, instant gratification is killing us. Like, when we see something we want and we just go buy it, we don't think about it, we don't look at our budget, we don't do any of that, we just do it. When that is your life, you end up spending so much money. But delayed gratification shows a level of maturity where you can walk away from a purchase, sleep on it, see if you still want it a day or two later, and then you can go back and buy it. But this is a major perk to win financially. Number 6, they reduce decision fatigue. So the more routines that someone has when it comes to their money, the less kind of impulsive that they're going to be. And so there's like less impromptu shopping trips and all of this because they kind of have this rhythm in place. And I like that. I think that's great. Now, I can be type B at times where I'm like, let's just have some fun and be spontaneous. So you still want part of that in your life. I think that creates some fun. But when you have routines and you know what's going on, like, okay, I check every dollar every morning and I track transactions. I meet with my spouse every month, once a month before the month begins to do our budget. We give on this date. Our tithe goes out from our account to the church this day. I mean, like when you have routines in place, it really does help. All right, number 7, they actively practice gratitude. Yes, it is incredible when you realize that stuff isn't the thing that's just going to bring on more happiness. It's just not. But when you are so mindful and grateful for what you already have, there is gratitude, there is contentment, and all of that. So the fact that this was on the list, chef's kiss. Is that what the kids say? Yeah, I love it. Number 8, they stay off autopilot. So subscriptions, apps, all of that. They try to put friction in these purchases. And so, yeah, I mean, I would say with some of this, I really appreciate. I don't like always the savings autopilot. Like some people are like, I just put my savings on autopilot. There's a part of me that I'm like, no. Do it actually so you can feel it happening, and you may want to be saving more, or maybe you need to save less. Like, I don't know. There's something about actually going in and doing it. But then also there are things that I think is okay just to be on an auto basis too, right? Like I don't think that's bad. I think that'd be very convenient and to make sure that you're not late on things too. So there's a balance there. Number 9, they regularly unfollow and unplug. So they use social media, but they actively unfollow people who tempt them into comparison or jealousy. They also pay it forward and gut check their motivation with their own posts. So the way they use social media, the way they kind of think about it is in a really healthy way. So I appreciate that. Number 10, they recognize patterns. So if you have tendencies where you start to see, okay, if I'm bored or insecure or I'm busy, then that's a trigger for me to spend, right? Or, you notice like, okay, here's when I do these things that are maybe unhealthy with money or even comparison. Maybe it's a heart thing. And these are the situations that comes up in. They notice that pattern throughout their lives. And that is a really great gut check to know like, okay, here is what I do and why I do it. And then always know you can create new patterns, right? Instead of being stressed and going and spending, you can go on a walk, right? Go and hang out with a friend, journal, like do something, read, like do something else that's better for you than just staying in an unhealthy pattern. So the fact that this list came from ChatGPT, y'all, I mean, I love it. I mean, I think it was so great. I so appreciated it. And I do think it's really factual. So some of these things are more habits, more heart-based. Some are a little bit more tactical. But putting things in place, you guys, help you in financially is what I want for you. Now, if you want some of my personal tips, not just off ChatGPT, be sure to check out my honest advice to someone who wants financial freedom. You can click here to watch that. Or if you're listening on podcast, you can click the link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, hey, you guys. So if you're like me, you've probably seen a lot of self-care culture going around social media and on the internet. So whether it's your nighttime skincare routine that you see or self-care shopping day, people love to treat themselves. And listen, I'm here for it. I think it's great. And I say it every week on the show. But again, I want you to create a life you love. But don't forget the first part of that sentence, because that matters too. To take control of your money and create a life you love. And in order to create a life you love and have joy and have peace, again, you have to take control of your money first. And in the mindset of so much comparison culture, and especially when it comes to social media, it can be really tough to have some discipline when it comes to this. So today I'm sharing with you my financial self-care routine. So it may not involve splurging on a fancy face mask, but trust me, what's waiting on the other side is so much better. And stick around to find out what I mean. And at the end, I'll share one product that I do recommend you spend money on when it comes to financial self-care. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, I'm fine financially. I don't really need any self-care in that area. So first, if that's you, let's just look at some statistics and see if you relate to any of these. So 3 out of 4 adults say that they often or sometimes feel stressed when it comes to money. And as of last year, 34% of Americans say they either are struggling or are in crisis over the state of their personal finance. 49% of Americans say that they have at least $1,000 in savings, but 33% report having no savings at all. And these numbers just prove that money is a pain point for a lot of people. And over a third of Americans actually feel like they are in crisis mode. So did you know that research shows that we as people actually react differently in our bodies when it comes to a crisis? Now, some people may exaggerate their communication response, aka you might get short with your kids or your spouse or your friends. People may revert to instinctive fight or flight, aka maybe you might be avoiding a problem altogether. Maybe you dig yourself deeper into debt. Some people feel anxious and guilty, hopeless, even confused. Like you're just too embarrassed to even ask for help because you don't believe that, you can pay off all this debt. So I don't know about you, but those feelings I never want anyone to feel because it seems really hopeless. But listen, there's always hope, and a little financial self-care goes a long way. But before we get to the ultimate financial self-care routine, it's important that we're all on the same page about the basics. So if you know Ramsey Solutions, you know that we are all about getting out of debt. We're all about budgeting. We're all about having an emergency fund, investing in retirement, paying your house off early, saving for your kids' college, building wealth and giving, all of this. These are all in the baby steps. And it's something, again, it's a plan that we really do believe in. So that's kind of our philosophy when it comes to money overall. But once you're familiar with the baby steps and you're actively maintaining them, then it's time to level up with some financial self-care. So here are 5 crucial steps in my own financial self-care routine. Number 1, track your spending and be honest about where you need to make adjustments. So we have EveryDollar budgeting app. And so Winston and I, we do this. Almost daily, I'm looking at where we're spending our money, and our EveryDollar app is connected to our checking account. So every time we swipe a debit card, it goes into EveryDollar. That little bubble pops up. We click on it and I drag and drop to whether it's Costco or groceries or Amazon or kids' school lunches, like whatever it is. I sit there and honestly track every part of our spending, which may sound crazy to some people. It does not take long. And again, to be able to maintain a budget, you have to know where you're spending. So if you've never done a budget, try it out. And also have a miscellaneous category. That's always one of my number 1 rules when it comes to budgeting, because stuff is going to come up throughout the month that you did not plan on. Buying wiffle balls for the kids this summer. We needed wiffle balls. I was like, oh yeah. And it's only like $12, but we are very intentional about where all of our savings go. So, you just throw some of that in miscellaneous and you're good to go. All right, number 2, keep savings in a high-yield savings account. So once you are in a place where you're saving up for an emergency fund, baby step 1, and or your fully funded emergency fund after you've paid off debt, a great place to put your savings is not just in a regular savings account at your bank. Look for a high-yield savings account. So with this, there may be times that, if you take too much out, there's some fees and all of that. So you really want to make sure that you know the parameters around your high-yield savings. This cannot be like your checking account, right? But if you put money in here, you're going to get more of a return. And so where traditional savings account is like 2%, if that, on like a good year, high-yield savings accounts were going up to like 5-6%, like crazy amount. So make sure to put your savings there and let it build over time. Number 3, check on your investment progress. So I would say do this once a year. People that look at their investments every other day stress me out, because the truth is the market is going to do this. And the goal for your investing is that it's long-term. So whether it goes like this one day or this one day, it doesn't matter overall, right? Day to day, you let it go and then check once a year. And we sit down with our investment professional every January and look at it all. And even this last January, we actually changed some stuff of what we were doing, just some little tweaks here or there. But it's just good to look at an overall picture, but don't look at it all the time because it's going to freak you out and it's not worth that stress. Number 4, stay ready for tax season. So if you are someone that needs to keep receipts because you have a business or you have some different records that you want to keep when it comes to filing your taxes, make sure you're doing this, because there can be so many write-offs. And then when it gets to April, you want to be able to take advantage of that, but you don't want to have to go and track everything down. So as the year is going, be thinking ahead and say, okay, what do I need when tax season comes? And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, the one product that I think is actually really worth it when it comes to your financial self-care is Financial Peace University. So this is our 9-lesson money course, and it walks you through the proven financial practices when it comes to building wealth. And it's really easy to sign up and get started, so I'll leave a link for you below. But part of financial self-care is learning. Continuing to put more in your mind, learning from people, seeing what other people are doing that are actually working with a long track record. And you know that's some advice that you can take. And that is Financial Peace University. And if you've never seen me walk through my paycheck routine, make sure to check out that episode because that's really going to help you when it comes to budgeting and all of this financial self-care. So remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.